Tompt, who is co-founder of Totnes REconomy Project and part of Transition Town Totnes. He also teaches regenerative economics at Schumacher College. And today he's going to be talking to us about the local entrepreneur forum, which has been running an annual event in the past decade, for the past decade in Totnes. It mobilizes local resources and know-how for transition-oriented enterprises, and it helps to create a regenerative entrepreneurial culture in the local area. So far, over 40 enterprises have pitched, and they're in lots of different areas: food, land, bikes, renewable tech, social. And this approach has inspired people to do something similar in Brixton, Frome, all the way in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Japan. So it's a really cool model for helping social enterprises get started in your local area. And Jay is going to tell us a bit about it.
Thanks for that introduction, Rhiannon. That covered it all. So
You
I
don't
don't know what else to say. Well, no, I do have plenty to say. I was really inspired by both of our prior speakers. I know, and when I've forgotten her name already, from Flows. That's a great story. I was there in 2019, just after the cafe opened, and got a little taste of that project. Really cool that they're incubating other enterprises. And I was also really inspired by what Grace shared about kitties. We're trying to take our project from Totnes, we're trying to take the model anyway, to Torbay, a next door coastal conurbation that ranks in the top 10 of multiple deprivations. And so we're trying to see if the stuff that we do in the very privileged Totnes works there. We're privileged in Totnes, but there are problems here too, I should add. But we've been doing this project for 10 years, and I think probably the inspiration for it, although it wasn't formed in this way, was a Rob kind of question. What if the whole town was an incubator for transition-oriented enterprises? What if there were multiple pathways that were accessible and visible to people to get things started? What would that look like? I love that you use that word ecosystem, Rhiannon, because I think that's a really important part of the story. So how can we create the conditions for lots and lots of the kinds of enterprises that we would like to see that would shift the economic system? How can we create the conditions for them to get started? So the local entrepreneur forum is a way. It's something we've been doing for 10 years, and because we do it every year, it's become part of the ecosystem. It's not just an event. It's an event. Okay, it's an event, but it is a platform for people to get connected, which is a really important part of developing an ecosystem. It's a really important platform for people to connect at the level of what they have to offer and what they might need. And so we've, over the last 10 years, for maybe 6 of these events, we've run them in association with an open space kind of facilitated networking session first, which has been fantastic. And we did this again this time. I want to show you a few pictures. We just did the 10th one 2 days ago. I'm still a little bit exhausted and a little bit buzzing from that, but let's see if I can find here we go. So okay, so this is how we promoted this event. This is one of our posters. I'm not quite sure what's going on here with, okay, that's another little thing. And then we promoted it this way. Once we knew who was going to pitch. Oops.
I don't think we can see. You might have to get the image up before you screen share, Jay. I wonder if that would help.
Right. So let me try it this way and see if this is more better. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And so just a couple of posters just to give you an idea of how we go about promoting it. And then I will just show you some images so let's see, let me do it this way. It's so annoying when the presenters are not fully prepared, isn't it?
I might forgive you if you've just had the 10th forum a few days ago.
So,
Okay.
as I said, we invite people to come early for an open space session. This was our inviting question. What ideas do you have to make our local economy more resilient? And people show up, and Hal Gilmore, who's a well-known figure in transition circles, stirs the pot in a kind of magical transition way. We get started with the open space. We had this session here was all about our local car sharing co-op who is exploring an exit to community kind of scenario. So kind of asking the question, what would it be like if Totnes owned its own car sharing co-op? So that was a productive conversation. This conversation here, I think, is about microfinance. Um, this question was about something around childcare, regenerative agriculture. So lots of these kinds of things. So we do that, and you know where we had it? We had it at the New Lion Brewery. So for those of you who follow closely the activities of Rob Hopkins, you'll know that he helped to start up this brewery. Well, he pitched at the very first one of these events that we did 10 years ago. And this is where we had the 10th one. And it's gone through a little bit of a journey. Now it's completely owned by the community. So here we were, I was joined by my colleague Katie Tokus, big crowd. We kind of heard from people who've pitched before over the years and heard their stories. And then we had 4 entrepreneurs pitch to what we call the community of dragons, you know, like the Dragon's Den TV show. Who are the community of dragons? Well, it's the whole community. And everything can be an investment. So these guys are the Totnes Bike Hub, and they were looking for help to develop a retail space so that they could become financially self-sustaining. They do a lot of volunteer work, taking in old bikes and reconditioning them, helping people get back on their bikes, organizing bike rides and stuff like that. This is Andy Gillespie, who is really an integral part of the local food system. He is working with local farmers to grow population wheat, which is important for resilience, and then paying them 3 times more than what they would get in the market. And then he takes that grain, he mills it, turns it into flour, turns it into pasta, and he was looking for support for buying a new dryer for the grain. He raised 25,000 pounds in loans from local people. This guy, Simon, started up a social enterprise called Resilient Lives, all about trying to help people with substance abuse issues and issues around isolation to get into what he calls therapeutic employment. And so he's located right in the heart of town and got a lot of love there too. This is John and Ruth Ray. They started up something called Edgy Veggie, and they're all about creating vegetarian and vegan meals, frozen ones and in the cafe, working with local producers right in the heart of Totnes in some place called the Mansion House, which is a community-owned building. And they were raising funds to improve one of the communal spaces there, which they saw was an opportunity to kind of lift a lot of people and a lot of businesses who were there, including themselves. So really, you know, kind of communitarian ask. So I'm just going to shift over here. Oops. Oh, I totally screwed up I had a presentation, I just accidentally closed it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll just keep talking. So we've been doing this for 10 years. And the starting point was really some of those questions that I was posing before. How could we contribute to the kind of ecosystem and the kind of conditions that would enable lots of these kinds of local enterprises to get started or to become financially self-sustainable? And more importantly, or as important, how can we get local people to feel like they can participate in this process, not just as consumers, not just as taxpayers, but as potentially investing money or something else? So the way it works is at this event, you know, these guys pitch, and then people respond with, well, I'll loan you 1,000 pounds, or I'll give you 100 pounds, or I'll help you with your business plan, or I'm a retail expert, I'll help you with your retail thing, or I'll introduce you to somebody I know, or I'll just give you a day's worth of labor, or I love what you're doing, I'll make you lunch, I'll tweet for you, I'll watch your kids while you go to a meeting. And it really just kind of it kind of reappropriates some of these words, like what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to be an investor, what it means to earn a return. And so when we started, we were thinking, well, what could we do not just to create a couple livelihoods, but what could we do to create the conditions? And we were thinking, well, we would like to do something that could create a new kind of entrepreneurial culture. We would like to do something that could mobilize the know-how and the social capital as well as the financial capital that's already in our place. We want to build out the ecosystem, and we want to create the kinds of networks that enable things to happen. And this event goes a long way toward doing all of those things. So over 10 years now, 44 enterprises from the local community, something like £150,000 directly as a result of the event each year has been gifted or loaned or invested. Many of these enterprises have gone on to earn more or to raise more money elsewhere because of the head start they got here. 270 people have played the role of investor, which I think is a really great indicator of the culture shift. Over 20 new jobs have been created. And so, as Rhiannon mentioned, we've had pretty good success here. People have picked it up in other places. I think it's one of these things that it kind of ticks a lot of the boxes that we would want to see in the transition movement. Getting people to participate, doing things that are tangible, doing things that lead to systems change. It can contribute.
1 minute left. Okay. 1 minute left.
Okay, well, I think that's about all I have to say, for this allotted amount of time. The advice I would give is maybe to repeat some of the things that I've already heard. So talking to people and building relationships really, in terms of doing this kind of work, I think is the most important thing. So that's important. Don't be afraid to get stuck in and just do something. You don't have to be, like for the stuff that we're doing here, you don't have to be a PhD in economics. As Grace said, you don't have to have an MBA to start up a laundrette. So you just need to kind of get in there and start doing things. And Rob wrote that book, The Power of Just Doing Stuff, which I think is great, and one of his best books. But I've recently become fond of repeating something that I think comes from, what's her name now? Maya Angelou. Something like, do your best until you know better, and then do better. So to me, that's huge permission to just start doing things, make some mistakes, learn as you go, build relationships along the way.
Thanks, Jay. And that's a really lovely quote to end with, I think, there. And I think that's been echoed throughout all the speakers of this thing of, not needing to be an expert at all to get these projects off the ground, needing lots of people and time and energy and some skills, but that a lot of people just kind of start from a very basic starting point.